You ever try to start a car that's been sitting outside in the dead of winter?
Oh, yeah. It is not a good sound.
No, it's terrible. It's totally exposed to the freezing cold, right? The
Hmm.
engine groans, the oil is like thick as molasses.
Yeah, everything is just locked up.
Exactly. And if you just slam your foot on the gas pedal without letting it warm up, you are actively stripping the gears.
You're doing long-term damage just trying to get out of the driveway.
Right. So now think about your own mornings, because I think most of us do this to ourselves.
We definitely do.
The alarm goes off, your metaphorical engine is just frozen solid, and what do?
You're panicked.
You panic. You jam your foot on the gas with a massive cup of coffee and this huge spike of sheer panic about your inbox.
Which is, biologically speaking, a worst possible way to start the engine.
It really is. And then, without fail, you sit around wondering why you are completely broken down and sputtering out by like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, the classic afternoon crash.
So, welcome to another deep dive. Today, we are on a very specific mission. We are decoding the ultimate science of waking up.
And it really is entirely a science. I mean,
Wow.
we aren't here to discuss, vague motivational platitudes.
No, just think positive thoughts today.
Exactly. We are looking at a highly structured biological sequence.
Right. Today, we are unpacking a meticulous transcript from human biologist Gary Brecka.
Specifically, his presentation on the Ultimate Human platform, I believe it's episode 136.
Yep, that's the one. And the sole focus of his breakdown is a morning routine designed to fundamentally alter your biological baseline.
It's all about supercharging your energy levels.
But
Mechanically.
right.
Yeah.
Our goal is to give you the exact scientific blueprint he uses for elite athletes and CEOs.
People who literally cannot afford an off day.
Exactly. We are going to map out how to transform your morning from this foggy, sluggish drag into a solid mechanical foundation for success.
It's a system.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Because the very first thing he points out, it completely flips the script on why we feel so terrible in the morning.
Yeah, he argues that our fatigue isn't a character flaw. It is a structural failure.
Oh, it's just huge. Because we have to establish a calm, analytical approach to this, right?
Definitely.
That's
Because the immediate instinct for most people is just guilt.
Oh, 100%. I'm lazy. I have no willpower.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But what we are discussing today isn't some fleeting internet trend or, a test of your moral fortitude.
Right.
It is a strict system governed by human physiology and evolutionary biology. And when we operate outside the parameters of that biology, well, the machine breaks down.
That brings up a concept I want to call the house on sand philosophy.
Oh, I like that.
He starts his presentation with a pretty harsh reality check. And I want you, the listener, to actually think about your last 7 days.
It's a tough mirror to look into.
It really is. Did you hit the gym like you promised yourself you would? Did you make any tangible progress on that side project?
Or did you just let the week slip by?
Right, just backsliding and making excuses.
It's an uncomfortable reflection, honestly.
Yeah.
We are exceptionally good at setting these ambitious 10-year goals.
Oh, yeah, vision boards everywhere.
Right, but we frequently fail at the 24-hour execution. We hesitate. We procrastinate.
And the psychological burden of that failure is immense. We blame our lack of discipline. We tell ourselves we just aren't working hard enough.
But he offers this incredibly profound release valve. He explicitly states that this constant failure to execute is not your fault.
Which is so refreshing to hear.
It is. He argues that this backsliding stems entirely from waking up incorrectly.
Waking up wrong snowballs into poor daytime performance.
Exactly. Which
Yeah.
ruins the week, which ruins the month. He calls this building a house on sand.
The structural analogy is perfect because if waking up wrong is like building a house on sand, then forcing yourself through the day on pure willpower.
It's like trying to build the second floor while the first floor is actively sinking into the mud.
Yes. You are just fighting gravity at that point.
And to understand why that gravity feels so heavy, we have to fundamentally reevaluate our assumptions about sleep.
Okay, lay it on me.
Well, we have this culturally ingrained idea that going to sleep is like plugging your smartphone into the wall.
Right, you plug it in, you go to sleep.
You close your eyes, the screen goes dark, and when the alarm goes off, you expect to unplug and be at 100% battery.
That's the dream. Yeah.
But biology dictates the exact opposite. He points out that your body is indeed like a battery, but when you wake up, you are only at about 20% charge.
Wait, really? Just 20%?
Just 20%.
That sounds incredibly low. I mean, I think the assumption for most of us is that waking up is the finish line of rest.
Right, that you're done.
Exactly. You're saying it's actually the starting line of the recharging process?
Yes. Let's look at what the body's actually doing while you are unconscious.
Okay.
It is not a passive state of hibernation. Sleep is an intensely active, labor-intensive physiological process.
So you're not just powered down.
Not at all. Your brain is consuming massive amounts of ATP,
ATP.
adenosine triphosphate. It's basically the energy currency of the cell, and it uses this to consolidate memories and forge new neural pathways.
Wow, okay.
And while that's happening, your immune system is out hunting down pathogens. Your tissues are undergoing intense cellular repair.
So it's basically a construction zone in there all night.
A construction zone and a waste management facility.
Your waste management facility.
Yeah, there is a mechanism in the brain called the glymphatic system.
Lymphatic. Okay.
Right. And during deep sleep, the brain's glial cells actually shrink slightly
They shrink. Why?
to allow cerebrospinal fluid to rush in. It literally washes away the metabolic waste and neurotoxins that have accumulated throughout the day.
That is wild. It's like a power washer for your brain.
It essentially is.
Yeah,
But that entire process requires a tremendous amount of energy and fluid.
I bet.
So when you open your eyes in the morning, your body has just finished an 8-hour night shift of heavy labor.
Oh, man, when you put it like that.
Yeah. Your core temperature is dropped, your fluids are completely depleted, and your nervous system is essentially in a dormant, low-power mode.
You know, there is a massive psychological relief in hearing that. It shifts the entire narrative.
How so?
Well, instead of waking up groggy and thinking, ugh, I have a weak character and no willpower, you can just say, oh, I just don't have a proper mechanical system to recharge my 20% battery.
Exactly. It gives you permission to drop the guilt and just focus on mechanics.
Right. And once you view your energy as a mechanical output, your daily obstacles change context.
They absolutely do. The distractions,
Yeah.
the sudden loss of motivation at like 1:00 p.m.
The urge to snap at a coworker for no reason.
Yes, you start to see those not as personality flaws, but as symptoms of an uncharged system.
If the foundational mechanics are solid, the day naturally aligns itself because you possess the biological resilience to absorb the friction of daily life.
That's perfectly said.
But you can't recharge a battery without the right conductive fluid, which means we have to start at the absolute cellular level.
The very foundation.
Right. We can't talk about mindset or goals or productivity until the actual cells in your body are turned on. So how do we do that? This brings us to the very first habit.
Habit number 1, hydration with purpose.
This is the critical first lever because, as we just discussed, your body has been working hard for 8 hours without any water intake.
None. And every single time you exhale during the night, you are expelling moisture vapor.
You're sweating too.
You're sweating. Your kidneys are still filtering. You are universally biologically dehydrated the moment you wake up.
So his protocol here is highly specific. He doesn't just say, go drink water.
No, it's an exact recipe.
Right. It's a large glass of water, plus a pinch of Baja Gold sea salt, though he also mentions Kelpic sea salt.
Right, unrefined salts.
And a squeeze of fresh lemon. He claims this kickstarts the metabolism, balances electrolytes, and fires up the engine.
It does. The lemon provides vitamin C for detox, and the salt provides essential cellular minerals.
But I have to ask, water is water, right? Why isn't a glass from the tap enough? Are we essentially trying to start a dry engine without any oil if we don't add the salt?
That is the perfect analogy, because water is not just water when we were talking about human cellular biology.
Okay, break that down for me.
To understand this, we have to look at the electrical conductivity of the human body. You operate entirely on electrical impulses.
Right, brain waves, heartbeats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your heart beating, your lungs expanding, and neuron firing in your brain so you can remember where you put your keys. Every single one of those actions is an electrical signal.
And electricity needs a conductive medium to travel.
Exactly. And that medium isn't just plain liquid. It is water saturated with electrolytes.
So electrolytes are...
Minerals,
Yeah.
like sodium, potassium, magnesium, and chloride. They carry an electric charge when dissolved in water.
Okay.
If you drink plain, heavily filtered tap water or, reverse osmosis water.
Which a lot of people do to be healthy.
Right. But you are basically drinking a dead liquid. It has no mineral content.
Let me make sure I'm visualizing this correctly. Let's say I have a bone-dry, stiff sponge sitting on my kitchen counter.
Okay, a dry sponge.
That's my body waking up. If I pour a glass of totally plain, unmineralized water over it, The water just runs off the sides.
Into the soak-in.
Exactly. It doesn't actually penetrate the sponge because there's no binding agent to pull the moisture into the structure.
That analogy perfectly illustrates the concept of the osmotic gradient.
The osmotic gradient.
Yes, your cells have a semi-permeable membrane. For water to cross that membrane and actually get inside the cell to rehydrate it, there has to be a mechanism to pull it across.
And what's the mechanism?
It's called the sodium-potassium pump. The salt, specifically the trace minerals found in unrefined salts like Baja Gold or Celtic salt.
Which are different from normal table salt, right?
Vastly different. They contain upwards of 80 different trace minerals, unlike heavily processed white table salt.
Okay, got it.
So those minerals provide the sodium and magnesium required to activate that cellular pump.
Oh, I see.
The minerals alter the osmotic pressure outside the cell, which draws the water deeply into the intracellular fluid.
So without the salt, the water just sloshes around in your stomach,
Pretty much.
and you just pee it out 20 minutes later without actually hydrating the tissues.
Correct. You remain cellularly dehydrated even though your stomach is completely full of water.
That is mind-blowing.
Rehydrating correctly at the cellular level is the absolute prerequisite for every cognitive and physical function that follows.
Wow.
If your cells are structurally starved of minerals and conductivity, no amount of motivational podcasts or sheer willpower is going to lift that heavy physical sluggishness you feel.
It's just mechanics. Okay, so what about the lemon?
The lemon is great.
He mentions it provides vitamin C for detoxification. Is that just a nice bonus, or is there a mechanical reason to do it immediately upon waking?
Oh, there's a very specific mechanical reason. The liver is your primary filtration organ.
Right.
And during the night, it works overtime, processing all those metabolic byproducts we talked about.
The night shift.
Exactly. When you wake up, the liver is essentially holding on to a lot of waste. Vitamin C is a powerful antioxidant, sure, but more importantly, the specific enzymes in fresh lemon juice stimulate the liver to produce bile.
And bile does what?
Bile is the transport fluid. It carries those filtered toxins out of the liver and into the digestive tract to be eliminated.
Ah, so it's essentially a chemical flush.
A flush and a signal. The acidity of the lemon also prompts the stomach to begin producing hydrochloric acid.
Preparing for food.
Exactly. You are gently waking up the digestive system. You're moving the body from a state of overnight preservation and repair into a state of active daytime metabolism.
Okay, so the hardware is online. We've remineralized the cells. The electrical currents have a conductive pathway. The liver is flushed. The engine has oil.
So hardware is ready.
But the software, the brain is still swimming in a cocktail of sleep chemicals.
It's still a little foggy.
Right. It doesn't know it's time to boot up the operating system. It can't just look at the clock on the wall and realize it's morning. So how does the body actually know what time it is?
It relies entirely on environmental cues, which
Cool.
brings us to arguably the most powerful, non-negotiable tool in the entire protocol.
Habit number 2. The science of sunlight and the invisible spectrum.
This is a big one.
His instruction is simple, but incredibly strict. Step outside for at least 10 minutes of direct, natural sunlight within the first hour of waking up.
Within the first hour is key.
And he specifically notes no sunglasses.
Nope, none.
You must let the light physically pass through your eyes.
Mhm.
He says this regulates the circadian rhythm, which is your body's master natural clock.
That's right.
It suppresses melatonin, which is the sleepy hormone.
Yeah.
And it boosts cortisol, the energy hormone, while simultaneously elevating serotonin.
It's a massive hormonal shift. The circadian rhythm is intrinsically synced with the rotation of the planet.
It's tied to the sun.
Completely. To understand why stepping outside is so vital, we need to examine the direct neurological wire connecting your eyes to the center of your brain.
Okay.
At the very back of your retina, you have a specific subset of neurons called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells.
Intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. Wow. IPRGCs for short.
IPRGCs, exactly.
I need to pause on that. Retinal ganglion cells. Are these the cells that help us see shapes and colors?
No, and that is a crucial distinction. These specific cells are entirely non-visual.
Non-visual, in the eye.
Yes. They do not care about the shape of the trees or the color of your car.
What did they do then?
They contain a photopigment called melanopsin, and their sole biological function is to measure the density of photons hitting the eye.
So they are basically light meters.
Exactly. They are biological light meters,
Hi.
and when they detect a sufficient threshold of light, they send a high-speed electrical signal directly to a tiny region in the hypothalamus.
Let's just talk this.
It's a suprachiasmatic nucleus.
The suprachiasmatic nucleus. That sounds like a piece of alien technology.
It is the ultimate piece of organic timekeeping technology. It is your master clock.
So what does it do with that signal?
Well, throughout the night, your pineal gland has been pumping out melatonin.
Sleep hormone.
Right, bathing your brain in this chemical to keep you unconscious and facilitate repair. But when the suprachiasmatic nucleus receives that light signal from your eyes, it throws a massive hormonal switch.
It turns it off.
It sends an immediate command to the pineal gland. Halt melatonin production immediately.
So the sunlight is literally a hard chemical off switch.
It is the only effective off switch. And simultaneously, it acts as an on switch. It signals the adrenal glands to release a healthy, natural spike of cortisol.
See, that's interesting. Because cortisol usually gets a terrible reputation.
It really does.
We always hear about how cortisol makes you stress, makes you hold on to belly fat, causes anxiety. Why do we want a spike of it first thing in the morning?
Well, chronic elevated cortisol throughout the day is highly destructive, yes. But an acute, sharp spike of cortisol in the morning,
Is that different?
very different. It's known as the cortisol awakening response, and it is a biological necessity.
What does it actually do?
Cortisol is an activating hormone. It raises your blood pressure slightly, increases your core body temperature, and mobilizes glucose into your bloodstream.
So it's releasing a fuel.
Exactly. So your muscles and brain have immediate fuel. It is the chemical that makes you feel alert, motivated, and physically ready to move.
Wow.
Without that morning spike, you experience sleep inertia. You just feel like a zombie.
Which makes me wonder about the modern human condition.
In what way?
Well, we are the only creatures on the planet that wake up, roll over in a dark room, and immediately stare at artificial blue-lit screens.
Instead of looking up at the sky.
Exactly. How much of our collective societal brain fog is literally just a light deficiency?
A massive amount of it.
We are trying to trick our brains into waking up with the weak glow of a smartphone.
And the suprachiasmatic nucleus is just sitting there confused.
Half soaked in melatonin, wondering if it's dawn, dusk, or midnight.
We are living in a chronic state of circadian confusion. For hundreds of thousands of years, our neurochemistry was dictated by the rising sun.
The original alarm clock?
Right. The light spectrum of morning sunlight has a very specific angle, a specific mix of blue and yellow wavelengths.
And a specific intensity.
Yes, an intensity that tells the brain exactly what time of day it is. A phone screen or even bright overhead LED lights in your kitchen, they just cannot come close to replicating that lux intensity.
Now here's where it gets really interesting, and where he addresses the single biggest excuse everyone makes.
Let me guess. But it's cloudy today.
Exactly, or it's winter and it's raining. He explicitly states that this works even if it's snowy, gloomy, or totally gray outside.
It does.
Because visible light is just a very narrow band of the spectrum. The non-visible light still easily penetrates the clouds and enters your eyes.
That's right.
Does that mean our eyes are essentially organic solar panels? Like, they don't need a bright, hot, sunny beach to charge up. They just need to be outside to catch the ambient photons?
That is a highly accurate way to conceptualize it. Let's look at the physics of light intensity, which is measured in lux.
Okay, lux.
A brightly lit indoor office might have an intensity of about 300 to 500 lux.
Seems pretty bright when you're in it.
Sure. But if you go outside on a completely overcast, gray, depressing winter morning,
How much is that?
the light intensity is still routinely between 10,000 and 20,000 lux,
Wait, really? 10,000 lux on a gray day.
at minimum.
Wow. So even on a terrible day, the outside light is mathematically exponentially brighter to our brain than the brightest lights inside our house.
Exponentially brighter. The invisible spectrum, particularly the high-energy blue wavelengths necessary to trigger the melanopsin in your eyes, easily pierces through heavy cloud cover.
So there's no excuse.
None. The protocol is absolute. Even in the cold, even in the snow, layer up, put on a coat, and get outside.
And he says you cannot do this by looking through a window. Why not?
Right. People always ask that.
If I'm sitting in a nice warm sunbeam in my living room, isn't that the same thing?
No, it's not.
Hmm.
Because modern window glass is designed to filter out specific wavelengths of UV and blue light,
To protect the furniture.
to protect your furniture from fading
Right.
and to insulate the home.
Ah, I see.
That filtration disrupts the precise spectrum your retina needs to trigger the master clock. You must be physically outside, with nothing between your eyes and the sky.
So it's not about being warm.
It is entirely about light exposure, not about feeling warmth on your skin.
Okay, so the sequence so far is undeniable. You wake up, you drink your salted lemon water to remineralize,
Yep.
you put on a coat, and you step onto your porch for 10 minutes. Check. You have successfully turned off the sleep chemicals, turned on the alert chemicals, and synced your master clock with the rotation of the planet.
It's a beautiful sequence.
But there is a difference between waking up energized and waking up chaotic.
Very true.
Just because your cortisol is spiking doesn't mean your mind is organized. Once the eyes have signaled the brain to wake up, how do we actually direct that energy?
This is a critical juncture. You have initiated the physiological wake-up sequence, sure, but raw energy without focus is just anxiety.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. Raw energy without focus is just anxiety.
You have to manually signal the nervous system to calm down.
Which brings us to habit number 3, breathwork, mindfulness, and the manual override.
Manual override, I like that.
Brecka's protocol here involves taking a few minutes for deep, slow breaths, specifically 3 rounds of 5 to 10 deep breaths.
It's very accessible.
But the mechanics are highly specific. He says you need a long inhale through the nose, a short pause, and then an exhale through a straw, or shaping your mouth like you are breathing through a straw.
The resistance is key there.
Right, and then you end the sequence with a prolonged breath hold and a final long inhale. He states this activates the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing stress. And he intentionally pairs this with gratitude, noting that gratitude lowers stress hormones and releases dopamine, the molecule of motivation.
To understand why this isn't just relaxation fluff, we have to look at the architecture of the autonomic nervous system.
Okay, let's break it down.
It has 2 main branches. The sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight stress response.
The gas pedal.
Right. And the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest calm response.
The brakes.
Yeah, exactly.
And he mentions this paradox that I think hits close to home for a lot of people. Waking up in a stressful state.
It's very common.
I know I've had mornings where my eyes snap open and my brain instantly defaults to sheer panic.
Yeah, your heart rate is up before you even move.
Yes, you instantly remember a massive project deadline or an email you forgot to send or a financial stressor. Your heart is racing before your feet even touch the floor.
In that moment, you aren't experiencing the healthy cortisol awakening response. You're experiencing a frantic survival-level stress response. When you wake up in that state, your sympathetic nervous system has essentially hijacked the morning. The amygdala, the fear center of your brain, is screaming at the hypothalamus that you are in literal physical danger.
Even though you're just lying in a comfortable bed.
Exactly. And if you do not interrupt that neurological loop, that underlying current of anxiety will bleed into every interaction and decision you make for the rest of the day.
You're just on edge all day.
You will operate from a state of threat detection. So breathwork is the manual override for that system.
But why the specific straw shape for the exhale? Why can't I just sigh heavily?
Because of pneumatic resistance and its direct effect on your heart rate.
Pneumatic resistance.
Yes. There is a direct mechanical relationship between your breathing and your heart rate. It's known as respiratory sinus arrhythmia.
Sounds complicated.
It's actually quite simple. When you inhale, your diaphragm physically moves down, creating more space in your thoracic cavity.
In your chest.
Right. Your heart physically expands slightly into that space.
Oh.
Because the heart is larger in that moment, blood flows through it a bit slower. To compensate and maintain your blood pressure, your brain sends a signal to speed the heart rate up.
Oh. Okay, so inhaling naturally speeds up the heart.
Yes. And the inverse is true for exhaling.
So when you exhale,
the diaphragm moves up, the space in the chest cavity shrinks, the heart is compressed slightly, blood flows faster, and the brain signals the heart to slow down.
That is fascinating.
By pursing your lips and exhaling, as if through a narrow straw, you are creating severe pneumatic resistance.
You're dragging out the exhale.
You are mechanically forcing the exhalation phase to be significantly longer than the inhalation phase.
So you are mechanically forcing the heart rate to drop by extending the biological trigger that slows it down.
Exactly. And when the heart rate drops, it stimulates the vagus nerve.
The famous vagus nerve.
The famous cranial nerve X. It is the primary superhighway of the parasympathetic nervous system. It wanders from your brainstem down through your neck, wrapping around your heart, your lungs, and your digestive tract.
It connects everything.
It does. And when you stimulate the vagus nerve through a prolonged, resistant exhale, it releases a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine.
And what does that do?
It releases it directly onto the heart, and it acts as a literal chemical brake.
That is incredible. It's literally using the body to boss the brain around.
That's exactly what it is.
Instead of waiting for your panic thoughts to calm down so your body can relax, you use your respiratory muscles to force the heart to slow down.
Which sends a signal back up the vagus nerve to the brain saying, hey, the heart is calm, therefore we must be safe. Turn off the panic.
It is a bottom-up approach to state regulation.
Yeah.
You bypass the anxious thoughts entirely.
It's extremely effective.
Okay, so I totally understand the mechanics of the breath, but I want to challenge the second half of this habit, the gratitude practice.
Sure.
Because if I'm playing devil's advocate here, it's very easy for a cynical listener to dismiss gratitude as just thinking happy thoughts.
It does sound a bit soft compared to the rest of it.
Exactly. It sounds a bit like toxic positivity or, new age mysticism. If I'm stressed out about a mortgage payment, how does thinking about how much I love my dog actually solve anything?
I completely understand the skepticism.
He claims this hacks the brain's chemical dopamine drip. But is there real science there?
There is profound neuroscience behind it, actually. And it has nothing to do with toxic positivity. It has to do with how the brain processes reward and motivation.
Okay, unpack that.
Dopamine is widely misunderstood by the general public.
People think it's just the happiness chemical.
Right, the pleasure chemical. But in neurobiology, dopamine is the currency of pursuit, motivation, and goal-directed behavior.
The currency of pursuit.
It is the chemical that makes you want to move forward.
So it's not the reward itself, it's the drive to get the reward.
Precisely. The core of the dopamine system lies in a region called the ventral tegmental area, which projects to the nucleus accumbens.
Okay, biology terms.
Basically, when you are operating in a state of stress and fear, your brain is focused entirely on avoidance. You're just trying to survive the morning.
Right.
But when you consciously practice gratitude, meaning you actively force your prefrontal cortex to search your memory and focus on something you genuinely appreciate,
You are flipping a switch.
you are fundamentally shifting the brain's orientation from threat avoidance to reward recognition.
So by forcing the brain to recognize something positive, you trick it into releasing that motivation chemical.
It isn't even a trick. It is a biological feature. Acknowledging a positive reality signals the brain that you are in a secure state capable of pursuit.
And that triggers the dopamine.
It triggers a mild release of dopamine, yes. By doing this intentionally, right after waking up, while you are doing your vagus nerve-stimulating breath work,
You are combining them.
you are combining physiological calm with neurochemical drive. You are replacing the frantic, jittery energy of morning anxiety with a state of calm, focused readiness.
You are preloading the motivation molecule before you have even encountered your first actual task of the day.
Exactly. You are setting the baseline.
Okay, so the sequence is getting incredibly robust now. We are hydrated at a cellular level.
Yep.
Our biological clock is synced with the sun, and melatonin is completely shut down.
Okay.
Our nervous system is calm, the vagus nerve is engaged, and we have a baseline drip of dopamine. We have built a beautifully calm, balanced biological system.
Perfect.
And now, Brecka wants us to take that perfect system and absolutely shock it.
Oh, yeah. Here comes the hard part.
We are moving to habit number 4, cold exposure, the ultimate reset button.
This is undoubtedly the psychological hurdle of the routine.
I dread this just reading it.
This is where biological theory is tested by intense physical reality.
He says you need to take a cold shower or a cold plunge, and the benefits he lists are extensive.
They really are.
It stimulates the nervous system, provides a massive energy boost, increases blood circulation, enhances immune function, reduces inflammation.
All scientifically proven.
Crucially, he highlights that it releases a flood of norepinephrine, a powerful hormone that drastically improves mood and focus.
It does.
But stepping into freezing water voluntarily just sounds like torture. Why does the body respond to torture with all these positive benefits?
The mechanism behind this is a biological phenomenon known as hormesis.
Hormesis.
Hormesis is a concept in toxicology and physiology where exposing the body to a low dose of an agent or stressor, something that would be toxic or lethal at a high dose.
Like freezing cold water.
Exactly. A short exposure actually induces an adaptive beneficial effect.
So in simple terms, what doesn't kill you makes you functionally, structurally stronger?
Exactly. A little bit of poison is the cure.
Wow.
When you step into a freezing cold plunge, your body experiences an acute, immediate survival threat.
Right.
The water is rapidly stripping heat away from your skin.
Right.
And your brain doesn't know you were in a safe, temperature-controlled, tiled bathroom.
It doesn't know you can just turn it off.
No. The primitive part of your brain assumes you just fell through the ice into a frozen river and you are going to die of hypothermia.
So it initiates a massive emergency response.
A total systemic freakout, biologically speaking.
How does that translate to a reduced inflammation and better circulation, though? Walk me through the actual physical reaction when that cold hits.
The moment the cold water hits your skin, cold thermoreceptors fire a rapid signal to the brain.
We are freezing.
Right. The body's immediate priority is preserving core temperature to keep your vital organs, your heart, lungs, and liver functioning.
Okay, makes sense.
To do this, it triggers extreme vasoconstriction. The smooth muscles around the blood vessels in your extremities, your arms, legs, and skin violently contract.
They clamp down to stop the blood from getting cold.
Yes, they squeeze shut to force all that warm, oxygen-rich blood away from the surface and push it deep into the core.
Like a squeeze tube.
Exactly. This aggressive squeezing action acts as a massive cardiovascular pump. Now, remember earlier when we talked about the liver holding onto toxins and the cellular repair that happens at night?
Yeah, all the metabolic waste.
That repair process leaves behind inflammatory cytokines and metabolic waste in your tissues.
Right.
The severe vasoconstriction forces blood and lymphatic fluid to rush through the system at high pressure, effectively flushing out those inflammatory markers.
It's like power washing the inside of your veins.
It really is. Then, when you step out of the cold water,
The relief.
the exact opposite happens. Your body realizes the threat is over and triggers vasodilation.
Everything opens back up.
The blood vessels open wide, and all that freshly oxygenated, nutrient-dense blood from your core rushes back out to the extremities.
You are essentially doing a total flush of the cardiovascular system in like 3 minutes.
It is the most efficient cardiovascular workout you can do without actually moving.
That perfectly explains the physical benefits. But what about the mental aspect? He emphasizes the release of norepinephrine.
That's the real magic.
If I am the hesitant listener right now, dreading the idea of a cold shower, what is norepinephrine actually going to do for my morning? Is this basically a legal, completely natural adrenaline shot without the jittery crash you get from a pre-workout drink?
That is a highly accurate comparison, but honestly, it's actually superior to caffeine.
How so?
Norepinephrine, also known as noradrenaline, functions as both a hormone in the blood and a neurotransmitter in the brain.
Okay.
It is synthesized in a tiny cluster of neurons in the brainstem called the locus coeruleus. When the cold shock hits, the locus coeruleus fires rapidly,
Flooding the brain.
flooding the brain with norepinephrine. This chemical promotes extreme alertness, heightened vigilance, and razor-sharp cognitive focus.
Well, because if you are freezing in a lake, your brain needs you to be hyper-focused on finding a way out.
Exactly. The acute physical stress forces absolute laser-sharp presence.
You can't worry about anything else.
Because the brain perceives a survival threat, it instantly abandons all secondary trivial concerns.
That lingering anxiety about the mortgage payment, the stress about an upcoming presentation.
Irrelevant. The brain clears the slate.
Wow.
And unlike synthetic stimulants that artificially block tiredness and inevitably lead to a massive crash when they wear off,
Right.
cold exposure triggers your body to produce its own endogenous energy.
Yeah.
It is a clean burn of physiological alertness.
You know, I also want to explore the psychological aspect of this, the sheer mental resilience required.
It's significant.
You are standing outside the shower. Your hand is on the temperature dial. Every single instinct in your modern, comfort-loving brain is screaming at you to turn it to hot and just relax.
It is a daily battle.
But you force your hand to turn it to cold and step in. If you conquer that manufactured adversity first thing in the morning, does that fundamentally alter how you view the rest of the day's obstacles?
Absolutely.
Do they just feel smaller by comparison?
You're touching on a profound psychological truth about the modern environment here. We live in a world that is chronically, relentlessly comfortable.
We really do.
We live in temperature-controlled boxes, we travel in temperature-controlled boxes, and we are constantly surrounded by calorie-dense food.
We've engineered all the friction out of existence.
We have. But our biology, our immune systems, our cardiovascular systems, and our neurological pathways evolved in environments full of physical friction and acute stress.
We need it.
They actually require that stress to adapt and remain robust. By removing all physical adversity, we have become physiologically and emotionally fragile.
So the cold water is the antidote.
Willingly stepping into the cold water is a daily repetition of overriding the mind's desire to quit. You are manually training the neurological pathway of resilience.
You are practicing being uncomfortable.
Yes. So when your boss yells at you at 3:00 p.m.
Yeah.
or a crisis hits at home, your nervous system does not spiral into panic.
Because it's already been tested.
It remains grounded because it has already survived a simulated life or death experience that morning. The rest is just noise.
Wow. Okay, so you survived the freezing lake, your circulation is pumping at maximum capacity, your core is a furnace, your inflammation is flushed, and your brain is saturated with clean, focused norepinephrine.
You are alive.
The engine isn't just warm, it is revving. And after surviving the cold, the body is completely primed to move that freshly oxygenated blood around.
Which leads us perfectly into the next phase.
Exactly. That brings us perfectly to the next sequence. We're going to group habits 5 and 6 together because they deal with stabilizing the energy we've just generated.
The maintenance phase.
Right. Movement and the caffeine delay.
This is where we secure the foundation. You have generated the energy, now you must manage it.
So let's start with habit 5, movement. He prescribes 20 minutes of light activity, and he is very specific about the intensity here.
The intensity is crucial.
He suggests a walk, light yoga, or even just stretching. He explicitly states it does not need to be an intense heavy lifting workout or a grueling cardio session.
Yeah, definitely not.
The stated goal is to release endorphins, which further enhance mood, focus, and productivity. But honestly, why light movement?
What do you mean?
Well, if I have all this norepinephrine pumping through me and I'm wide awake from the cold, shouldn't I go hit the gym and lift heavy weights right now? Use the energy.
We have to make a crucial biological distinction between movement and working out.
Yeah.
If you go to the gym and lift heavy weights to muscular failure or, run a grueling 10-kilometer race, you are initiating a catabolic state. You are breaking down muscle tissue. You are demanding a massive amount of metabolic energy and recovery resources from the body.
Which takes energy away.
Exactly. While intense exercise is obviously vital for long-term health, it is not the goal of this specific morning routine phase.
The goal isn't exhaustion.
The goal is circulation and lymphatic drainage.
Okay, let's talk about the lymphatic system.
The circulatory system, which moves blood, has a dedicated pump.
The heart, right? It pumps constantly.
The heart pushes the blood through the arteries. But your lymphatic system, which is responsible for clearing cellular waste, managing fluid balance, and transporting immune cells,
It doesn't have a pump.
it does not have a central pump.
So how does the fluid move? It just sits there.
It relies entirely on muscular contraction.
Really?
Yes, it relies on the movement of your skeletal muscles to physically squeeze the lymphatic vessels and push the fluid upward against gravity.
Oh. So when you engage in light yoga or take a brisk 20-minute walk,
You are engaging the muscular pump.
so you are essentially wringing out the sponge you just hydrated and shocked.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. The light movement clears out any stagnant overnight fluids.
It keeps things moving.
It physically pushes the nutrients and trace minerals you drank in step 1 out of the bloodstream, through the capillary beds, and into the deep tissues.
And because it is low intensity, it doesn't trigger a massive stress response.
Exactly. Instead, it releases a gentle, sustained wave of endorphins. It is about biological lubrication, not exhaustion.
That makes perfect sense. Movement as a pump. But let's dive into the deep end of habit 6, the caffeine delay.
Oh boy, here we go.
Because this is where people get incredibly defensive. This is the habit people will fight you over.
They absolutely will. People love their coffee.
Brecka insists that you must wait 60 to 90 minutes after waking before having your first cup of coffee.
Non-negotiable.
He warns that drinking caffeine too soon interferes with the body's natural morning cortisol production, which leads to severe energy crashes later in the day.
He's entirely correct.
So for everyone listening who is currently reaching for the coffee pot with their eyes half closed, practically sleepwalking to the kitchen, are we actually sabotaging our own natural energy systems by not letting the body do its job first?
Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And the neurochemistry behind this is undeniably clear.
Okay, lay out the sabotage for me.
To understand it, we have to revisit the cortisol awakening response we discussed during the sunlight phase.
The natural spike.
Exactly. When you wake up and the sunlight hits your eyes, your body initiates a natural surge of cortisol to get you alert. This peak occurs roughly within the first 60 to 90 minutes of being awake.
It's the body's internal cup of coffee?
Precisely. Now, if you consume external caffeine immediately upon waking, say, within the first 15 minutes,
That's just what most people do.
right, You are dumping a powerful synthetic stimulant on top of a biological system that is already attempting to peak naturally.
So they just clash.
It is entirely redundant.
Yeah.
Furthermore, the body is highly adaptive. If you consistently provide an external stimulant right at the moment the body is supposed to produce its own,
It stops making its own.
the body down-regulates its natural production.
Wait, so you are basically training your body to be lazy.
Yes.
You are telling your adrenal glands, hey, don't bother making the natural morning energy. I'll just pour this dark liquid in instead.
That is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
You blunt your own natural waking mechanism, making you structurally dependent on the coffee just to reach baseline.
Just to feel normal.
Exactly. But honestly, the cortisol interference is only half the problem.
There's more.
Oh yeah. The more critical factor involves a molecule called adenosine.
Adenosine, let's break this down deeply. What is it and what does it have to do with coffee?
Adenosine is a byproduct of cellular metabolism. Every moment you are awake, your brain is burning ATP for energy.
The energy currency.
Right. And as ATP is broken down, adenosine is left over. Throughout the day, adenosine steadily accumulates in the brain.
It just builds up.
It acts as a neuromodulator. It binds to specific receptors, primarily A1 and A2A receptors in the brain.
And when it binds.
When adenosine locks into these receptors, it inhibits neural activity and causes the feeling of sleep pressure. It makes you feel tired.
So the more adenosine builds up, the heavier your eyelids get.
Exactly. Now, when you sleep, the brain clears out the accumulated adenosine.
Through the wash cycle we talked about.
Yes. However, depending on your sleep quality, when you first wake up, there is almost always a small amount of residual adenosine lingering in the receptors.
Like suds left over in the washing machine.
Exactly. That lingering adenosine is what causes sleep inertia, that groggy, heavy feeling for the first 20 minutes after waking.
Okay, so where does caffeine come into the picture? Doesn't caffeine just give you energy to fight the adenosine?
This is the single biggest misconception about caffeine. Caffeine does not give you energy.
It doesn't.
No. Caffeine has a molecular structure that is incredibly similar to adenosine. So similar, in fact, that it can fit into the exact same receptors in the brain.
Oh, wow.
But unlike adenosine, caffeine does not activate the receptor to make you sleepy. It just sits there, blocking the slot.
It's a blocker.
It is a competitive antagonist.
So it's essentially putting chemical earmuffs on the brain.
Earmuffs.
Yeah, the brain can't hear the sleepiness signal from the adenosine because the caffeine is plugging up the receptor.
That is a brilliant analogy. Yes, chemical earmuffs. Now consider the timing. If you drink coffee immediately when you wake up, you are inserting those chemical earmuffs into the receptors, while that residual morning adenosine is still floating around in the brain.
Right.
While the caffeine is blocking the receptors, the brain continues to function, right? Which means it continues to produce new adenosine.
Oh, I see where this is going.
The caffeine has a half-life of about 5 to 6 hours. When the caffeine eventually metabolizes and releases its grip on the receptors, the earmuffs come off.
Oh, no.
Yes. When the earmuffs come off, all of that residual morning adenosine, plus all the new adenosine you've generated throughout the morning, suddenly has free access to the receptors.
It floods the system in a massive tidal wave.
A total crash.
And that is the classic 2:00 p.m. office crash.
That's exactly what it is.
You are sitting at your desk, looking at an Excel spreadsheet, and suddenly you feel like you've been hit by a tranquilizer dart. You can barely keep your head up.
Yep.
And all this time, we blame the sandwich we ate for lunch, or we think we just need sugar.
But it's actually a direct biological consequence of drinking that first cup of coffee at 7 a.m. instead of waiting until 8:30 a.m. It is a delayed consequence of poor morning mechanics. By drinking it immediately, you trap the morning fatigue and delay it until the afternoon.
That is so crazy. But if you delay the caffeine by 90 minutes...
Let me guess.
Well, I guess.
During that 90 minutes, the sunlight and the natural cortisol spike wake you up, and the natural metabolic processes clear out the residual morning adenosine. Precisely. You clear the board.
So there's no adenosine waiting in the wings.
None. Then, right as your natural cortisol curve peaks and begins its gentle natural descent, you introduce the caffeine.
And it binds to clean receptors.
It binds to clean receptors and acts as a sustained bridge, carrying your energy levels smoothly through the entire afternoon without the catastrophic crash.
You are designing a system.
You are aligning pharmacology with human physiology.
It's beautiful.
All these habits work in concert with the body's natural rhythms rather than constantly fighting against them.
That is just brilliant. It is a biological symphony.
It really is.
When you break down the actual mechanics of the adenosine receptors, waiting 90 minutes doesn't feel like a punishment anymore.
No, it feels like a strategic advantage.
Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. Section 7, the stacking system and immediate action.
The practical application.
Because hearing all this science, the vagus nerve, the osmotic gradients, the hormesis, the adenosine, it's fascinating, but it can also sound incredibly overwhelming.
It's a lot of information.
How does a normal person actually implement this without giving up on day 2?
Implementation is the graveyard of good intentions.
That's a great quote.
Most people fail because they attempt a total identity overhaul on a random Tuesday.
Oh yeah, new me starting tomorrow.
They try to become a person who wakes up at 5 a.m., runs a 10K, plunges into an ice bath, and meditates for an hour all at once.
Too much too soon.
The cognitive load is too high, and the limbic friction, the emotional resistance to change it, causes them to quit.
Right, so Brecka is very clear that these habits are not meant to be isolated. They build on each other for exponential results.
They are stacked.
And they are all completely free. He mentions he is hosting a free 3-day Ultimate Morning Routine Challenge starting February 19th with daily actionable steps and a community for accountability.
Which is a great resource.
But for anyone who doesn't want to wait, he provides what I am calling the Try It Tomorrow 3-Step Starter Kit.
Let's hear it.
It is beautifully stripped down. Step 1, hydrate with the water, salt, and lemon. Step 2, step outside for 10 minutes of light. Step 3, do the 3 rounds of 5 deep breaths. That's it.
We need to analyze the architecture of this specific sequence from the perspective of behavioral psychology.
Okay, let's do it.
Specifically looking at concepts like B.J. Fogg's behavior model.
I don't know that one.
Well, behavior requires 3 elements to converge at the exact same moment: motivation, ability, and a prompt.
Motivation, ability, prompt.
Right. In the morning, your motivation is notoriously low. Therefore, the ability, how easy the task is to perform, must be exceptionally high.
And this starter kit is as easy as it gets. No expensive supplements, no crazy gear, no monthly subscriptions.
Just a glass of water, a pinch of salt, the air in your lungs, and stepping onto your own porch.
It removes every single possible point of friction. You can't say it's too expensive, and you can't say it takes too much time.
By removing friction, you lower the barrier to entry so much that it is almost absurd not to do it.
True.
Furthermore, by stacking them, doing them in a specific unbroken sequence, you eliminate decision fatigue.
Decision fatigue.
It's the deterioration of our ability to make good choices after a long period of decision-making. In the morning, you don't want to decide what to do next. The completion of habit 1 is the physical prompt for habit 2.
Drinking the water triggers walking to the front door.
Exactly.
Seeing the light triggers taking the deep breath. Before your complaining, tired mind even has a chance to formulate an excuse, the sequence is already in motion.
You are bypassing the prefrontal cortex's tendency to overthink and relying on automated sequential behavior.
It's sneaky, but it works.
And here is the true genius of the 3-step starter kit.
Yeah.
Once you lock in those first 3 exceptionally easy steps, your biological baseline elevates.
Oh, because of the chemistry.
Exactly. You literally have more natural energy flowing through your system because of the hydration, the cortisol spike, and the dopamine release.
You feel better immediately.
And suddenly, with that new higher energy baseline, the idea of adding the cold shower or the light movement doesn't seem like an impossible mountain to climb.
It just seems like the logical next step.
You earn the energy required to do the harder habits by completing the easy ones.
That's a profound way to look at it. You earn the energy. I also want to touch on the community aspect he mentions with his challenge.
The accountability factor.
Right. Why is it so much easier to stick to a routine when thousands of others are doing it with you? Is it just peer pressure, or is there a biological component to that as well?
Oh, it is rooted deeply in our evolutionary biology.
Really?
Humans are obligate social animals. We survived historically by forming tribes. When we attempt to change a difficult behavior in total isolation, we have to rely entirely on our own internal, limited supply of dopamine and willpower.
Which we establish is very low in the morning.
It is exhausting. But when you join a community, even a digital one, participating in a shared challenge, your brain taps into the tribal instinct of conformity and social contagion.
So if the tribe is waking up, hydrating, and breathing, your primitive brain thinks, I better do this too or I'll be left behind by the group.
Precisely. Your subconscious drive to remain aligned with the tribe overrides your individual desire to stay in a warm bed.
The shared accountability acts as an external battery pack for your motivation.
You borrow the group's momentum while your own internal neural pathways for the habits are still physically forming.
It makes the hard things feel normal because everyone else is doing them.
And that is the ultimate takeaway here. The undeniable scientific nature of these habits is what makes them so profoundly reliable.
It's not a fad.
We aren't relying on willpower. We are relying on chemistry. It is about making incredibly small, highly intentional changes that compound over time to fundamentally alter your biological baseline.
You aren't just surviving your mornings anymore, you are architecting them.
Architecting the morning. I love that.
Okay, let's wrap this up and summarize the massive amount of ground we've covered today. The morning isn't just the start of your day, it is the absolute non-negotiable foundation.
The bedrock.
If you build on sand, you will inevitably sink. But if you follow the biology, you build on bedrock.
Let's review the steps.
Hydration with trace minerals to create electrical conductivity and activate the cellular pumps.
Step 1.
Direct sunlight to trigger the suprachiasmatic nucleus, suppress melatonin, and spike natural cortisol.
Step 2.
Specific resistant breathwork to stimulate the vagus nerve and hack the dopamine system.
Step 3.
Cold exposure to induce hormesis, flush inflammation, and flood the brain with norepinephrine.
Step 4.
Light movement to act as a mechanical pump for the lymphatic system.
Step 5.
And delaying that caffeine by 90 minutes to respect your natural adenosine clearance and avoid the afternoon crash.
Step 6.
These aren't just nice-to-haves. These are the biological prerequisites to reclaim your human energy.
They are the owner's manual for the human machine, and they require no specialized technology, only intention.
So I want to leave you, the listener, with a final, slightly provocative thought to chew on today.
I'm intrigued.
Think about the incredible microscopic sensitivity of the human machine we just discussed. If simply looking at a cloudy sky for 10 minutes, altering the length of your exhale, and drinking a pinch of salt can entirely rewrite our hormonal balance.
It's staggering when you think about it.
It suppresses sleep chemicals, ignites our focus, and literally dictates our mood for the next 16 hours. How much of our modern chronic exhaustion isn't a disease at all? How much of our societal stress, brain fog, and burnout is simply the natural result of living totally out of sync with our most basic biological design?
We are fighting our own nature.
Exactly. If the fix is this natural, what else is our body desperately waiting for us to remember?
It is a profound shift in perspective.
Yeah.
You are not broken. You have just been operating the machine incorrectly.
Remember that frozen car engine we talked about at the very beginning? Stop trying to force it to run on empty in the freezing cold.
Stop grinding the gears.
Give it the oil, give it the spark, and let it warm up the exact way it was designed to. Thank you for joining the conversation and exploring these sources with us today on The Deep Dive.
It's been a great discussion.
Tomorrow morning, when that alarm goes off, don't hit snooze. Drink the water. Step outside. Take a breath. We'll see you next time.